Hello, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough. Let's talk about Dexter's Lab. More specifically, what was intended to be its finale piece, Ego Trip. I've previously talked about Dexter's Lab at length before. I did an epic media battle comparing it with Jimmy Neutron, which looking back, I was a bit lenient in that video. While Jimmy Neutron did get better as it went, I do think that Dexter's comedy holds up slightly more. But again, it's hard to really say because they're both good in their own ways and they both have their own set of flaws. And just earlier this year, I reviewed the rap album based on the show called Dexter's Lab: The Hip Hop Experiments, which was actually a lot better than you'd probably expect it to be. And now we get to talk about the Dexter's Lab movie. Because we did it before with a bunch of other shows like Ed, Edd n Eddy, Powerpuffs, Kim Possible, and Steven Universe, and My Little Pony, and a bunch of other stuff before this, and we're probably going to do a bunch of more animated movies based on TV shows in the future. The last episode of Dexter was aired in 1998 as part of the show's second season, and this movie was made in 1999 as a way to put a cap on the series. But we all know what happened since then. Cartoon Network still saw success in this franchise and milked it for 2 more seasons, similar to what they did with the original Powerpuff Girls. And just like that show, the creators left to work on other shows once their movies were done. Craig McCracken left Powerpuffs to work on Foster's, and Gennady Tartakovsky left Dexter to work on Samurai Jack. Though honestly, the last 2 seasons of Powerpuff Girls, while flawed, weren't as boring as some of the post-movie episodes of Dexter, at least in my opinion. Case in point, the 3-minute episode of teeing up for a golf game with barely anything happening on screen like a Family Guy cutaway gag. Although, in fairness, the episode where Dexter's mom is competing with another mom to get their hands on some new gloves, that episode is great. But back to this movie, it did have a lot of the show's regular faces working on it, which is usually a good sign. Once again, similar to some of the other TV-based movies that I've looked at before. So let's see how the first movie based on a cartoon stacks up 20 years later. Well, right off the bat, I just gotta test this for myself. Does my copy of the movie on VHS have the Disney logo thing at the beginning like Nordy's did? Oh. Huh. I guess my copy doesn't. Sorry, Nordy, I don't know how to explain your copy. Maybe you have some kind of rare limited edition copy that Disney somehow put its stamp on. So the movie begins with Mandark gearing up in his lair to steal something from Dexter. And here it makes a bit more sense that his lair is evil and menacing looking, more so than it does in the show. In the show, it just felt like one of the many pointless changes after the movie, since his lair looks nothing like this in the first 2 seasons. But again, that's just me.
Honey, I don't think that's gonna fit.
Just a little more, dear. Got it.
Sexual innuendo.
With this all-powering neuratomic protocore in my possession, I will make the world mine!
Unhand that neurotomic protocore, Mandark!
After one of the many awesome fight scenes we're gonna get in this movie, Dexter defeats Mandark and proclaims that he'll never get his hands on the protocore. Dexter resumes his usual science whatsits and politely tells Dee Dee that he has no time for her antics, as she walks off into a time machine and goes somewhere. And soon enough, an army of robots show up proclaiming that they were sent to destroy the one who saved the future. They grow in size, and Dexter beats them all using his own mech suit, in a nice little callback to the Dodgeball episode. After another awesome fight scene, yeah, is it any surprise that Gennady went to work on a straightforward action show after this one? Dexter comes to the assumption that he must have been the one that saved the future.
Dexter, the boy who saved the future! Woo! I can't wait for the future.
Hence the title, Ego Trip. Cause ego trip usually means like someone has an ego problem and they go on a trip through time. Dexter decides that he'll use his time machine to see what the future is like after he saves it. Jump forward to the year 2045, as it seems Dexter's lab has now been converted into a rec room for these future people who've been tagged with specific numbers, as they proceed to try and report Dexter to authorities because of his lack of numbers on his person.
It is a sad, sad world when the known numbers can just waltz on in onto private property with no trouble at all.
After the way he said that line, I am more than convinced that no number is a slur in this future. As the police are called in, Dexter manages to give them the slip. He lands outside and sees that the future is much different. Huh. Looks like Back to the Future was just 30 years off. Flying cars are a thing in 2045, not 2015. Dexter gets picked up by some security robot thing who takes him to where he's supposed to be working, as we see the Dexter of the future and, whoa. Ugh. Dude, that's freaky.
Number 12?
Yes, sir.
You were almost late this morning. Report to my office immediately.
Oh, so that's where Kevin Spacey learned it in Horrible Bosses.
May have been a minute late.
Well, no, but according to this, you were 2 minutes late. So either you're a liar, or this system is off by a full minute.
I invite you to join me to the public flogging of number 12. Again! Again!
This movie brought to you by some weirdos at DeviantArt.
This time has been duly noted and will be deducted from your salary.
You can't do that!
The Dexters finally come face to face with each other as present Dexter yells at his future self for being a spineless wimp, but it seems like he's not completely a lost cause. He still has the proto-core and ideas that could change the future for the better, as his young self finally gives him the confidence boost that he's always needed.
Dexter? Again! Dexter? Again! Dexter!
The two decide that they'll go further into the future to see how things will be improved with their ideas to save humanity. But ruh-roh, Raggy, they left the proto-core out in the open, which Mandark takes full advantage of. Jump forward to the year 2088, where the two Dexters arrive in what seems to be a giant glass enclosure. As they break free, it seems that the lab has now been converted into a museum, complete with styrofoam replicas of Dexter's inventions, and even Mandark reduced to nothing but a talking brain in a jar.
There is nothing left of Mandark but his lame brain.
I heard that.
Whatever you do, make sure he doesn't gain access to a circus bear body, hot lady assistant, and an evil general sidekick. Cartoon Network will have him canceled after 2 seasons! A guy comes and recognizes them as he takes them to see the older Dexter, through bubble travel technology. Which is interesting because the Jimmy Neutron movie also had bubble travel technology, just 2 years after this movie came out. Somewhere right now, Dexter's probably thinking, suck it, Neutron, I invented it first. As it seems, the future is now a perfect utopia that's even been bettered through the aid of the proto-core. And as for older Dexter, well...
Hello? Hi. Hello? Hello? Hey. What? Hello? Hi. Hello? Stop it.
It is pretty funny. I just find it hilarious that somehow Dexter's future selves get on his own nerves. Somehow or other, Dexter manages to annoy himself. The only problem with this Dexter is that he's so old he actually doesn't remember saving the future, so they'll have to go back a bit to see for themselves. They go back 25 years to 2063, as it seems that the world has now gone to hell, quite literally by the looks of it, and everyone's become mind-numbingly stupid. The best way to describe this hell world is Speed Demon meets Idiocracy. As Dexter gets a fire going for these people, it's soon taken out by some security robots who are forbidding science. But they're taken out quickly by this timeline's Dexter, this time being a buff Arnold Schwarzenegger type voiced by Jeff Bennett. After the other Dexters fanboy over him, he explains how things got this way. Once Mandark got his hands on the proto-core, he profited off of Dexter's ideas. The proto-core made him go insane with power, and he used the proto-core to corrupt the rest of the world. But Dexter wasn't affected as he managed to escape. So they decide that they'll use teamwork to defeat Mandark once and for all. After a building things montage, we cut to the next day as the crew head off to beat this future's Mandark, who's really let himself go. And to even out the playing field, he recruits the other Mandarks to help him. And what follows is another pretty badass fight scene between the Dexters and the Mandarks. The young ones just slap fight for a little bit, the old ones just yell at each other like crotchety old men. This timeline's actually have a pretty tense fight scene, and Wimpy Dexter just gets slapped. All until he finally mans up and beats his boss's ass. And soon he figures out that they'll have to switch the proto-core to positive, and they can finally save the future.
No, I've always wanted the core. No, I stole the core. No, the core is mine. No, just because I'm bitter and jealous.
As each group tries to get to the core first, it's finally revealed what happened to Dee Dee. When she stepped in the time machine at the beginning of the movie, she was teleported here, and she ends up saving the day at the last minute.
Ooh, what does this button do?
Oh, she said it. She said the thing. She said it. She said the thing. So the future is saved. All the Mandarks disappear, except this timeline's Mandark, who explodes, which is a little graphic. And future Dexter finally remembers that it was Dee Dee that saved the future, not them. Doesn't really matter, since it seems like they got credit for it anyway, but whatever. Out of revenge, they build an army of robots to go back and do, quote, destroy the one who saved the future.
Goodbye, Dexter.
Goodbye, Dexter. Goodbye, Dexter.
Goodbye, Dexter.
Goodbye, Dexter. Goodbye, Billy.
And the movie ends with a gag about time travel being confusing, as Dexter realizes that the robots that he fought at the beginning of the movie were the same ones that he sent back to destroy Dee Dee.
That means when I came back too far back before I ever left. So I must have come, or they were, forget it. Time travel hurts on my brain.
So that was Dexter's Lab Ego Trip, and I really enjoyed it. Since this movie had the advantage of the same staff being involved, it works in the same way that this TV show does. The humor is on point, the action scenes are incredibly badass when they want to be, and the plot is definitely grand scale enough for a TV movie. They had tons of fun with the time travel aspects, not taking certain time travel rules like not seeing your past or future selves even remotely serious in the slightest. It's all very well written and feels like this would have been a very proper wrap up to the series, before Cartoon Network inevitably brought it back. Though unlike some of Cartoon Network's competitors, they at least seem to have known the definition of the word stop. Another interesting bit to note about this movie is Dexter's first voice actress, Christine Cavanaugh, won an Annie for this movie. And I think she really deserved it, as she gave a distinction and a uniqueness to each of the different Dexter voices. So if you're a fan of the show and you can find this movie on VHS or a YouTube rip, because they haven't given this a DVD or streaming service release for some reason, then definitely give it a watch. But now I'm thinking, Future Wiz, was this movie's portrayal of time travel fairly accurate to when you time traveled? No, of course not. Wiz, this was just a cartoon, alright? The rules of time travel are extremely serious business, okay? But you said that you traveled from some dystopia where the internet reviewing community and the big entertainment studios went to war and there were giant armed robots running around and stuff. Yeah, but I mean, it's not exactly the same thing as in this movie. I mean, I didn't see no buff Arnold Schwarzenegger media whiz or my older self in the future or anything like that. Well, at least not yet, anyway. Although, this movie does get one thing about time travel correct, and that's, it's not for the weak of stomach. I swear, you go time traveling with certain people, vomit goes all throughout the time stream, and it is just gross.
What's his name? Say his name. There's no young boy cartoon genius faster.
Protons, neutrons, electrons, molecules, and atoms, microorganisms, bacterial experiments. It's going down in the laboratory. No matter what the category, this young boy genius got 8 million stories.
What's his name? Say his name. There's no young boy cartoon genius faster.
Throughout the entire galaxy and the whole human race, there's not a boy genius with a more familiar face.
It's some kind of wall of psychic energy.